Krista with us. Hi, Krista. Good to have you here on the show today.
Hi, Lex. I'm happy to be here to talk with you.
Yeah, so let me tell people a little bit about your awesome self and then we'll get into the chat. Krista Anderson is the founder of Healthy on the Go. She's also a cancer survivor who decided to use her story to change the world, starting with the snacks available in it. She is a CEO, a producer, a host, an author. It is an honor to have you here today. So I would love for you to just share a little bit about what inspired you. What is Healthy on the Go actually? Why don't you tell people about that?
So, if you've ever found yourself circling a gas station or an airport looking for something healthy to eat or drink, and you pretty much leave stores empty-handed, that was the pain point I had. And so I started Healthy on the Go from that experience to try to make healthy foods and beverages more accessible to people. So we're kind of a store within a store, a kind of one-stop shop of healthier snacks and beverages. So yeah, that's where it
Love
came
it.
from, and that's the mission that we're behind to try to make the US a healthier place to live.
And I love what you do. I mean, I've known this for years because it's so frustrating, right? When you want to eat healthy these days, unless you like sneak in your own healthy food, you can't find it. Like if you go
Mm.
to a water park, if you go to a movie theater, if you go anywhere, even the overpriced movie theater, fine, I'll pay $15 for a stupid snack, but at least give me a healthy snack. And so I love that you're solving that problem in the US and hopefully eventually globally. But I'm really hoping that the problem doesn't become as big as global, although it kind of already has. So obviously, many people know you for your business. If they have been at gas station or airports, they might have even seen your picture on it. But what is something that people close to you know about you that most people don't that you'd like to share?
I have one lung from my cancer journey, and I'm an avid road cyclist. So I kind of learned by accident through COVID. I picked up cycling because we couldn't go anywhere. I live in France, so we couldn't go anywhere within like just a kilometer of where we lived during that time. So I was on my bike riding around, actually going outside of the distance we were supposed to go. And so I learned that I could expand my lung and the capacity it could work at through cycling. So I become a huge passionate cyclist, kind of like Tour de France cycling, but I don't ride like them. So yeah, that's my hobby to stay healthy on the
I
side.
love it. I love it. Do you enjoy cycling itself?
Do you remember when you were a kid, you first got your bike and you got the training wheels off and you just went wild, right? And used to be able, I don't know about you or how you grew up, but me, I grew up in a small town and I could run around that whole town on my bicycle and, come home by dark and, it was
Yeah.
safe, So it reminds me of when I was young, there's like this child spirit that comes out when you're on your bike, at least for me. So I really do love it. And it's hard at times. So I try to enjoy it and not beat myself up for not
Yeah.
working super hard at it.
The reason I ask is because I find, I work mainly with women. I find that women tend to do what they heard they are supposed to do. And I always teach them, like, start with what you like, start with what you enjoy. Because if you're dreading it, it's already hard, right? Like, working out is hard, cycling is hard, running is hard, like, lifting, like, whatever you choose, it's going to be challenging. Yoga is challenging, everything is challenging. But if you hate it on top of that, you're not going to stick with it. And that's why I asked that question because I want women to hear to say, okay, it doesn't have to be what everybody thinks it should be. It can be what I chose it to be. So thank you for sharing that. So what they say, and we all know that success often comes with some form of sacrifice. What is something that you're unwilling to sacrifice, no matter how busy life gets?
I'm not willing to find myself stressed with my work. So, one thing that I've learned the hard way, and I feel so many people get caught in chasing the American dream. We are taught in a society in the US that success is money and success is fame and having stuff. But I would pretty much go to say that a lot of people are searching for something else right now. I think, we after COVID is another a time frame as well that people started to reevaluate their life and realizing what the hell am I doing with it. And I think a lot of people are trying to go back to slower living. And so I learned that the hard way much before COVID, and that was the pivot I made to come to France and slow my life down because I learned from that culture what it is to really live, and what matters in life. And so I'm not willing to get stressed anymore with my work. I will walk away from the computer and take a couple days off if I have to, if I find myself overstressed about something that went wrong, or I don't want to go there anymore, it's not worth it. So that would be my answer to that.
Yes, as someone also who lived in the United States for a long time and now currently in Europe, I can attest to that. To me, I'm finding my own middle ground, right? Like I grew up in Europe where it's like, you hardly work and you just, you enjoy life. And then I got very much immersed into the American culture of like go and hustle, and I lived that. And I find that there is the middle ground, right? Like I think what you just described, I can care about my work. I can still want to create a big impact. I can still want to create a big business, but it doesn't have to come at the cost of everything else. And I
Yeah.
think that in between traveling, like Europe and United States kind of allowed me at least, and it sounds like to you too, allowed me to find that middle ground. And you said that's one of the reasons you moved to France is to slow life down. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, it shocks me to my core because I think it goes back to you only know what you know. And we all live in a society that forms us. And I only knew to work, to make money, to succeed, to chase success, whatever that is. But when I first came to the south of France, not Paris, because I would say that's a big city that lives a bit different, but the south of France, where you're amongst the locals living in the Provençal countryside, taking their time, sitting around a table, eating for hours and hours and not in a hurry to work. I was like, what is this about? I've never seen anybody sit so long at the table and eat. And not in a just in a restaurant, but in people's homes, and that sacred moment on Sundays where the whole family gets together and they have a meal and they take their time and they just enjoy each other and food. Have you ever sat at a table and talked about the food the entire time? Like I thought, oh my God, these people are so bizarre. All they do is talk about the food. Now, all I do is talk about the food. Because I'm like, this is actually life. Like this is being one in the moment.
That's hilarious because it is. That's how our nervous system reacts.
There was
Like,
a
this is so weird. Why would you ever do that?
is
And
it
then months later, you're like, oh, I am that. And that is my new normal. I love that. So, obviously, you had a crazy cancer survival story. Um, but I want to know why, if that's the only reason, or why taking care of yourself became important to you. Was that the only reason? Was that an awakening moment? Was that already like were you already living a healthy lifestyle? What became why and how did taking care of yourself become important to you?
I would say, of course, cancer woke me up. I tried to fight cancer holistically for the first 4 months, maybe. I went to a holistic doctor and did, changed my entire diet, cutting out pretty much everything but alkaline vegetables, and some grains and nuts. Like it was pretty restricted. Along with, other type of plant medicine, like intravenous therapies and stuff like that. So I learned a lot from that short experience about what I was putting into my body. Kind of, I think when anybody faces something with their health, it stops you in your tracks and you start to pivot and research, okay, what do I do to help save myself? And so that was kind of the foundation of change for me that I now live by that educational experience of just eating healthy, and it's quite simple: fruit and veg, some nuts and grains, and some organic farm raised meats, but it wasn't something that was easy for me in the beginning. And I would go on to say that I think a lot of people think healthy food doesn't taste good, or how do I cook this? And it is easier than people think. But yeah, I mean, I would say there's a lot that goes into being healthy though, as well as like sleep. I try to get 9 hours of sleep every day, and that is increasingly more important the older I get. I'm more tired more often, as our hormones change as women, right?
Yeah. Yes. So again, I love that you said that, because I think every single woman that was on the show so far has talked about how much sleep she gets. And I love that, because there's this stigma, right? Like 6 to 7 hours, wake up before everyone. And I'm like, all of these messages are for men. And none of that works for us. And we've done it for decades until we had a moment of like, okay, this is really not working out for me anymore. And I love what you said also. It's simpler than it seems when it comes to nutrition, but it takes time to change taste buds. And I always emphasize that to people, because yes, what I eat now is probably going to taste really bad to someone who's not used to eating that way. But it should be a gradual change, and that's why I'm a big advocate for not giving a meal plan, but rather than allowing the person to slowly start getting that into their own kitchen. And again, that's why I love what you do, because it's so easy to I think actually people have labeled snacks as a bad thing, right? I find that a lot with ladies who come to me like, I snack a lot. I'm like, snacks are not bad. It's what are you snacking on, right? And that's why, again, I love what you do, because it's one easy way to simplify healthy food. It's like, okay, if you don't change anything, change your snacks, right? Do the healthy on the go, and you're already changing something. So what kind of woman are you becoming in this season of your life? Because seasons shift, and I know you're in a new season of your life and career.
Have you heard of the book, The Surrender Experiment by, Michael Singer?
Yes, I recently read it maybe a few months ago.
Okay. I tell everybody about it because it's the best book I've ever read. It changed a lot for me. It's actually how I met my boyfriend. But it's this philosophy of saying yes to everything. Of course, I think there's things you don't want to say yes to in life, but like that idea of kind of taking risk and just saying yes to what comes to you and letting life guide you. And I think that's kind of where I'm at, is just letting go and being more free in my journey, that it doesn't have to look the way that I planned it. And saying yes to things that would scare me, and going for things. So, and that's also, the older we get, you think, at least, I don't know, I'm 40, I look back, I'm always reevaluating my life, I should say. And am I on the path I want to be? Am I doing what I want to do? Am I happy? Am I enjoying life? And I think that's all kind of in that same vein, is really just enjoying life and not taking it so seriously and getting so stressed over money or whatever.
I think that's a lot of women when we hit 40s. It's, people talk about hormones and hormone change. I'm like, that is like the least of the things that shift. It's like you just came to a decade where you're like, why do I care so much about other people's opinions? And
Oh my
why
God.
did I care about, right? Like, why did I care so much about like thinking that I want this and that and that? It's like, what is it that I actually want? And it's like 40s are the first time that a lot of women start actually asking themselves, who do I want to be? What kind of
Who do
life
I
do I
want to
want
be
to have?
around?
Who do I want to be around? Like, what's important to me? Like, it's like, I feel like it's an awakening. Women come to me, they're like, help me sort out my body. I'm like, it's an awakening. It's like your body is forcing you to stop and ask yourself some questions instead of just keep going at the pace that you are used to going. So let's
Yeah.
share a little bit more about the things that you do. So that make you run on your best, right? So you already mentioned you don't allow stress. You mentioned sleep. Obviously, nutrition is your life. What are some things that you consistently do that you think that maybe most women overlook?
I mean, well, the first thing that comes to mind is hobbies, is that balance that not everything is, this pressure of fitness or work, but kind of a creative outlet. I think we all need one. And for me, I'm really into home decorating, my garden. We just moved into a house with a big yard, and so I've been gardening and doing things like that I enjoy. And I would say that when you look at the blue zones where people live the longest, kind of those 7 common reasons how they live so long and are so healthy, is one of those is like gardening. They're outside moving their body, and that's a form of fitness as well. Also community. I think community is super important, is who's in your corner, who are you in the corner for in their life. And it doesn't have to be a lot of people, but just a couple close people that you've got. Community is a huge health boost. It's so important for our health and our mental health. And I want to go back and say one thing one of the first things that we discussed is a lady that her and her husband are staying in our guest house this week, and she was saying, I hate working out. I can't do it, and I'm gaining weight, and like I don't know what to do, and I just don't know what to do to enjoy. She's trying to think of it from how you were saying. And I said, what if you just started walking and took a couple friends with you? And I said, imagine the mental health boost of just walking and chatting with girlfriends and talking about life, and you're moving your body, but it's also giving you extra having these people you can share your life with. So I think those are really
Absolutely.
great ideas.
And, and that's, again, my point is we have to find what we like. I have a client, well, we're done working together now. She originally, it was like the weight loss. I'm like, that's just the effect, right? And the same thing, she's like, I know I need to go to the gym. I know. And I'm like, stop. What is it that you want, right? And she's like, well, I go, I walk my dogs a few times a day. And I'm like, all right, let's increase the walk. Would you do that? She's like, yeah. She became a hiker. She is now she goes hiking every weekend. She tells people, she brings people with her. And then in the process, she started wanting to gain strength and started working out at home and started working with weights. And I tell people, like, when you start with something that you like, your body will naturally get you moving and tell you what more it needs. It's going to tell you if it needs more yoga, if it needs more, like, you have to do what you love to do. And walking is very simple, but there are people who will also say, I don't have time to walk. There are ways to do it. I mean, I have clients who I start off with 10 squats, like literally do 10 squats at home. That's it, that's your workout. Because it can be different for everyone, but it has to be something that sticks. What I love about your example is connecting it to the mental health, because I talk about this all the time. People come to me for health, and I'm like, what does health mean to you? And they'll say, I want to go up a flight of stairs, and and I'm like, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, but mental is where everything is, right? Because I was fit when I was competing in bodybuilding. I had a six pack, and I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable in my life. And I've learned that physical is just a part of it. It's a part of it, but it's just a part of it. And if you're going for it just for the looks, it's never going to work. And if you're going for it for just one reason, it better be the mental health. So
Yeah, doing it with somebody keeps you accountable too, because they're going to text you and say, hey, should we go for a walk? And of course, the first thing you're going to think is, oh, I need to tell her about this. Yeah, let's go. I need to give her the update on this. So I think the other thing in what you're saying is, once people get started, at least I know for me, like when I go on vacation and I get off track and I come home and it's really hard to get back on track. But once I get going, I feel good in my body. It's like, okay, I can't slow down. This makes me feel good. And I think that's what people start to see. And it's kind of like a snowball effect, right?
Yes, absolutely. And again, glad they made that point, because it's like, oh, I don't feel like it. You are not supposed to feel like it before it's your fully habit. And it's like, how do like the moment when you're in the workout and you're like, oh my God, like I'm in it. Like I have that second wind or whatever it is, like people call it. And I tell people, you don't get there before you're working out. It's impossible for you to get the workout high before you're working out. So you have to get going, and then in the process, you're going to do it. And again, that connects to the point of having to do what you love. For some people, it's swimming. Like when we were in Panama, we had pools, and it was so easy because it's like you're always wet, you're always in your, swim trunks. So it's just easy to go. Here, I'm like, gotta get to there, gotta change. Like it creates a lot of mental chatter for me. So I created a home gym because it was like, okay, this is what's gonna work. And again, I hope that listeners are not getting confused by this, but like, I don't know which way to go. Just ask yourself, what is the easiest thing that I would actually enjoy doing? What is one thing that I would love to do? So again, thank you for sharing that. So valuable. What makes you feel beautiful and confident today?
It's fitness. I mean, I hate to beat a dead horse here, but it's fitness. Even if I'm not seeing results, I feel better in my body with the consistency. And that mental feeling of being consistent makes me feel like I've got some sort of control over the way that I look. And, so I would say that's number one, definitely. And mine are a little more intense, but I do these workouts on YouTube. They're free, but it's by Heather Robinson. And I've been doing those for probably 5, 6, 7 years. So there's a lot of free stuff out there too that people can jump into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that you travel a lot between US and France, like a lot. So how do you maintain this? Because some women will say, I just don't have time. She's living in France. She's living this amazing life. She can do what she wants. I know that you travel a lot. So can you give us a little bit more on how you stay on track and what challenges you face and how you overcome that?
Yeah, as far as fitness, I mean, I've got tennis shoes packed everywhere I go. It's as easy as just going out for a run when I get somewhere. Traveling is tough to stay healthy. Unless I'm going to one of the stores where I have my products in, just to find healthier food, I'm usually packing stuff with me on the plane and drinking a ton of water. You get really dehydrated flying, so that's one thing I try to do a lot of, as well as my skincare on the plane is staying very moisturized because it gets quite dry as well. So, but it's just fitting it all in. It's like, how do you raise kids? I don't have kids, and I don't know how people fit that all into work and everything. You could answer that question, but it's the same thing as, you just figure it out. You find 20, 30 minutes, and it doesn't have to be much, and in just, moderation. Yeah. A few
Just
days.
do it. Yes. It's the
Discipline. There's no
simplicity.
easy way.
There's no one way, and it's the simplicity. Once again, if it's like I was a gym rat, BC, before child. I would go to the gym and it would not be a problem, but it was also positioned like on the way from my fitness studio. Like I had a fitness studio and I wouldn't work out there. I needed a social part. And the gym was on the way home. So it was like it flowed for me. Now with a kid, we had a gym when we were in Panama. The complex where we lived had a gym, and I would go there with him in the evening, and we would blast music and we would make it fun, and he would work out too. And now it's a home gym because I was like, there's no way to go to the gym, work out, get home, still have time to play with him and do all the things I want to do. So it ended up being a home gym. And I told my husband the other day, I said, I'm so used to working out in my underwear now, barefoot, that I don't think I can ever go back to the gym. Like,
You might show up in your underwear. You'll go to the gym in your underwear, like, oh crap.
Yes. And so that became the thing. And what I want to say with all of this is seasons change, life changes, we get busy with different things, but it goes back to the priorities. And the reason I started this live series in the first place is to show women that to hear it from successful women like yourself, that it's possible and that nobody has it perfect. The one lady that I interviewed was talking about how awesome marriage she has and how big of a deal that is. The next lady is like a single mom, still also successful, talking about her point of view. There's like people talking about all these different things because it doesn't have to be like, if we want to create an excuse, we will, right? Or this person has, an easy life in France, or this person, has a nanny, or this person doesn't have kids, or this person. anything can be an excuse. At the end of the day, it's like, again, how am I going to take care of myself and how am I going to fuel my body for the future that I want? And again, your story is very powerful because it starts, with really hardcore cancer treatments and everything, even though you were wanting to go the more homeopathic route, but it ends up being, hey, this is how I'm going to make life easier for you. Again, it's healthy in the go, it's snacks in the go, it's at least one thing. Here's an idea: go for a walk, go to a place that has healthy on the go, grab a snack, and walk home and have your snack, right? Like, it doesn't have to be hard. So let's talk about difference in this season. Like, what have you learned about your body in this season that you wish you knew maybe earlier?
I wish I would have worked this is all how it looks, like taking care of myself before I hit 40 in a way that, when we get older, at least my body, it's harder to change once it starts happening. And I think since I've turned 40, everything seems to be changing. And I wish that I would have, got my body to a place that I really want to maintain, because it's easier to maintain than try to do the heavy lifting after that, after your body's kind of been let go of it. But I wouldn't say, I have a lot of work to do, but I would say that I wish I would have been looking at what skincare I'm putting on my face, what, that type of stuff we're just now starting to talk about. And there's a really great app called Yuka, which most people probably have heard about.
Yes.
Actually a French app. It's been around forever here, but it just arrived in the US over the last couple of years. And, just scanning skincare and knowing what you're putting on, in your body, because on your skin is the biggest organ we have. So I think that's what I wish I would have been doing earlier on, is looking at that, because now I feel like I'm aging a bit more.
There's
So
that quote, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. And I love that quote because it can be applied to anything. Yes, the best time to put on muscle is decades ago. The next best time is starting today. And it's never too late. It body changes in 40s, but once again, I like to reframe it for ladies to say it's telling you to wake up. It's telling you to do it your way. It's telling you to listen to it because we've been ignoring it for so long. And so, maintenance is definitely easier. I've been in maintenance modes. I've been in building modes. Maintenance is definitely easier. But wherever we are, it's not too late to start because the goals can change too, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what habits would you say made the biggest difference in how you feel physically?
Consistency of, I think, just doing something at least 5 days a week, when it comes to the fitness side of things. But also recognize when I'm stressed and slowing down and taking a time out. And for so many of us, we're glued to technology. I would say my brain is not in a healthy place when I'm using technology all the time, especially because I work from home. I'm on a computer all day. I have to take, I take about an hour or two in the middle of my day and go do something. Usually I cycle or run or just, go to the store and grocery shop, something to just stop the penetration of that. And I'm trying not to use my phone at all much anymore. And it's challenging because we live our life around that. But when we go on vacation, I totally turn it off on do not disturb, and like nobody needs to get a hold of me, because I think technology is making us more ADHD and more not present. I don't know if you feel this way, but it's like the mind can get so clouded, and I think it's sucking my life in a way, and it's taking time from my life that I'll never get back, and none of that matters. Scrolling on Instagram, worrying about what everybody else is doing, that's such a waste of my life. So I just cut it all out. I'm trying to go back to the beginning of time, the way our grandparents lived. but it's hard.
Yeah, and what you shared is very real, and I think more people are struggling with it than are willing to admit. But I think
Yeah.
it's extremely important to be honest with yourself, and I just say, you know what, this is, and like one thing I know about you, you were like, okay, TikTok has a different algorithm. I'm getting it off my phone. Like I'm not even playing with this anymore. And I love when you said that because it was like, that's you taking full responsibility. Like the job of social media is to keep us on it. That's cool. I love social media because it allows me to have an online business, right? Right. But I found myself, my kid was little, and I found myself like, if my phone is there, I would just look if there's a notification. And I shut off all notifications off my phone. And the only reason I even have it on vibrate is to find it because I actually tend to lose it around the house and we all search for it for like hours. And so I'm like, all right, I can do the vibration. And I turned off no notifications. And let me tell you, it took me a lot, like probably over half an hour to find every notification on every app to turn it off. And then now if it's like, oh, if it pops, I have to go and turn it off because it can very easily steal someone's life. And I think that's the truth for most of the things, right? Like there's a good and the bad in everything. But this is where we have to take that initiative to say, what am I doing with my time? Because time is the most valuable thing I have, and I'm never getting it back. And again, turning notifications off, putting it on silent or on do not disturb, you will notice you have to reset your dopamine. You have to reset your dopamine, and you have to go through that process, and you have to be aware of it because cheap dopamine is real and it will make us have to go. I teach my clients to log out of apps as well, because the moment they go back to try to log in, it's enough conscious to go, I didn't even want to go here. I didn't even want to try to touch this app. And it's a very subconscious behavior. And again, I love that you mentioned that because time is the single most valuable thing we have, and we're not getting it back, which is why awareness of how we spend or invest every minute is very important. I love that you're stepping away in the middle of the day and you don't even like an hour or two, it doesn't even matter because it's so important to do that because I believe you come back way more refreshed with better ideas and better way to do the rest of your day. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's somebody there's another amazing podcast I follow called The Wellness Scoop, and one of the women on there, she's talking about how she's doing a no technology summer for her two daughters while they're out of school. And the first couple of weeks were tough, telling them no TV, no iPad, no, not, and then so she would have to create activities for them to do and kind of keep them busy. Then after a couple of weeks, they stopped asking because she had sat them down and explained there's no technology this summer. Like they do some movie nights together, but rare. And so now she said her daughters are finding and creating like we did when we were kids. They're going outside, they're creating games or making up things. And she said they've become so creative and she sees them changing as,
Yes.
little people. And so I love this. I'm like, that's how we grew up. And if you
Yes.
do that to
Yes.
people,
Oh, it's a daily struggle. Like my kid is 7.5, and I gave him a tablet, a kid's tablet, whatever, and it's still not perfect, right? Like I still have to oversee it. I thought I was going to be able to set it up with parental stuff, and it's still got stuff that technically go as education, but it's like driving games, and I'm like, all right. And so what I'm teaching him now, knowing how the brain works, is I'm teaching him you do everything you need to do first, and then this is for limited time at the very end if you want to do it. And then we have to do it together because obviously I'm not gonna, there's a quote that I love that says, when you give your child a phone or whatever screen, right? You're not giving him access to the world, you're giving the world access to them. And it's like, that's exactly what that is. And so technology it's kind of like, it's going to be a part of our life. And I love that example because it really does take about a week or two to reset. But after that, brain starts creating ideas. My son can be waiting for me to brush my teeth in the bathroom and he's going to create a little game. And I'm like, that's That's what the brain is supposed to do. And we have to be extremely careful, not just with ourselves, but also with children and anybody around, because it's easier not to have to create games. Like you said, she had to create things and activities for them to do. And that requires the person to say, okay, let me figure out it myself. It's so much easier to fall in that. And we know this, again, it's so much easier to sit and scroll, but it's literally the worst thing for us. Do you know that they compare it to smoking now? They
Oh my
compare
God.
screen time to smoking, like it's the same as like an hour of screen time is equivalent to one cigarette or something like that.
How so? Like time off
Health-wise,
your
because
life.
we're sitting and not moving, and
Uh,
because we're sitting and not moving, and then because our brain activity is not there. So they're comparing it to, back in the day, how people used to smoke, sitting in front of the screen for whatever we do as adults. 8 hours a day and not moving is also like one of the worst things we can do for our body. I actually met a guy, very interestingly, and I really liked his approach to this. We were talking about meditations, and he said meditations were awesome back in the day when people were physical all day, and then they would sit down and need to be quiet. He said nowadays, sitting down is probably like one of the worst things for the body. And I thought, that's kind of brilliant. And so I started creating walking meditations for my clients and moving and doing things. Like you said, gardening is a form of a meditation because you lose track of time. You
yeah,
just focus on one thing and it's a form of it, right? And
I love
so
that.
I found that very interesting because it's true. Like, oh, I just got done sitting 8 hours. Let me sit for another hour to not move in a meditation, which is again why we have to find something that works for us long term.
Yep.
So
Love that.
why don't you walk us through your ideal day? I would love for listeners to hear what would that look like for you.
No technology day.
Yeah, non-technology day maybe. Yeah.
Man, I think just taking my time, I would say the last couple of weekends at home have been kind of an ideal day that I find myself bored and I'm thinking of things that I can do or need to do, like just, whether it's I went to college for fashion, so I'm into looking for this is a whole nother thing about being healthy, but what's on our clothes and natural materials. So any natural fabrics I'm seeing that are old, like in secondhand shops or these types of places, I'm trying to scoop them up to start creating my own clothes. So things like that that I can I'm just bored, find myself bored, reading a good book, having a good cup of tea or coffee, chilling at home. I'm such a homebody, so I would say it's just a day at home, eating something good and, you know, yeah. I wouldn't say there's a whole perfect start to finish day for me. I would just say it's just chill with nothing to do. Yeah.
Boredom. Yes, boredom is extremely important for the brain.
When was the last
So
time you were bored, Lex?
I love being bored. Well,
You? Yeah.
if I'm not working out with my kids, so for me being bored, I have learned that in this season, for me, there's not a lot of boredom, but I have
Mhm.
learned to fill it up with things that are productive, and even though productivity can be laying in bed and doing nothing. Because there's the non-sleep deep rest, NSDR, where you just lay in bed, kind of a form of a meditation, but you're just letting, I call it a thinkitation, letting your brain just have thoughts and create things, not in the worrisome, like, oh my God, and this needs to be done, then this should be. It's more like creative mode and just leaving your body just to kind of stay rested, falling asleep. But I've learned to, my thing is productivity. Even though productivity back in the day meant doing something all the time, right now the most productive thing at times can be to rest. So I do have
Yep,
to incorporate. Yeah. So what
absolutely.
are some non-negotiables in your schedule?
I would say learning to say no to things and people that are going to take from my peace and happiness. I'm a bit of a people pleaser, so I'm learning to have boundaries with people. So those are kind of my non-negotiables now is I think I was explaining to you recently on a voice note, I'm not putting things in my calendar that are, unless they're super important. Like, I'm vetting people in work meetings in advance, see if it can be done via email instead of carving out 30 minutes of my day of it not being productive. So I say learning to say no and not just taking everything on, to keep things very, very simple, and not giving just everybody my time because I need my time, is getting selfish with that.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Um, if someone spent a week living exactly like you, what do you think would surprise them?
That they could get a lot more done doing less.
Yes.
I think that's one thing I've learned from what I call kind of escaping the American dream, whether it was moving to this country or just not making work everything, I think was the pivot. Is that the time spent on my business is more about quality than quantity, and letting go, I think, is the energy that's changed everything for me. That actually taught me, I accidentally learned this, was when I let go of trying to make my business successful and make myself successful and make things happen, to make money, to make it grow. It started growing when I kind of gave up and just started, doing bigger
Yeah.
pieces of the puzzle with less time. Focused on
Yeah.
the most important parts of the business, letting everything else go.
And that is so important with previous thing you said of taking time off, getting away from everything, and even taking time off in the middle of the day,
Yeah.
right? Like just it's so important to not just go to the next thing and the next thing. People severely underestimate how sensitive our brain is. And we're trying to push it to like go, 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 go. And our brain is like, I need a reset, right? I need a little bit of something else. And
Yeah.
so it goes exactly with what you said is I think that taking that time off and taking an hour or two in between, or not allowing yourself to get stressed out, all of that allows you to actually sit down and get way more done in a less period of time and then have more free time.
And that's
So
actually a really great point, is that when you're taking time out, that's actually like what you were talking about earlier, laying in bed is productive. Like taking 2 hours out of the middle of my day to go for a run or bike or sit in the bathtub, I get a lot of accomplishments done in the bathtub, just thinking and relaxing. But it allows our mind to just freely think, and you can come up with so many ideas or solutions for things, or it's productive time. It's
yeah,
very productive. And I think
absolutely.
that's the thing in a lot of cultures in the, especially US, is that it's this go, 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 where you're just heightened stress, you're not slowing down, you don't have time to eat, you're eating at your desk while you're working.
Yeah.
Like that's considered productivity. It's not.
Yes, and it's not. Yeah, it's actually taking more time off that is going to make you more productive because when you sit, your brain's fresh, you had ideas, and then you're just like, what is the one thing I have to do? And that's why I created, I'm going to tell people about it at the end, but I have that created that 3 minute brain performance reset where it's literally one couple of them are 30 seconds, one of them is like 2 minutes where people can do things in between tasks and in between calls to actually reset the brain. Because again, I think that we need to talk more generally about how sensitive the brain is. And also how different it is when people run on a 24-hour cycle, which is men. And that's why we can't be like, oh, I'm gonna sleep 6 hours and get up and go to the gym at 2:45 in the morning. That's not being necessarily productive. For us, it's a different rhythm. It doesn't mean slowing down. Women can build a lot of stuff. It's not about slowing down, but it's about finding our own rhythm, whether it's sleeping 9 hours, whether it's taking time off. And one of the first ladies I interviewed talked about that. She said, I sleep a lot. She's like, I sleep 9, 10 hours. She's like, I take a nap. She said, because my brain works so hard when I'm there. And to our conversation about technology, she said, when I'm doing something, I'm there. Like I'm doing that. I'm not doing anything else. And she's like, it drains me. It takes so much brain power out of me that I need sleep. And again, to me, brain performance is like the most important thing that we can work on. So again, that's why I invited you here, is to talk about exactly that, which is how much you get done with less work. Now, obviously, you're in health field because it's healthy on the go, but how has taking care of your health affected your business success?
I think it goes hand in hand. If we're not healthy, our business is not healthy. And there are some times where I'll just I'll turn off the business for a day or two. I'm not like if I'm feeling, of course, I'm feeling sick or, when you've got the flu or something like this, of course. But if I'm just not feeling it, sometimes like with perimenopause, we're faced with this big conversation now is sometimes my mind is just cloudy. And then I beat myself up for it. And I'm trying to sit in front of my computer and I'm like, okay, no, like I'm not doing this. So I just shut it down. And then the next day I'll go and I'll be super productive and I'll get all this stuff done. And I'm like, I just made up for yesterday. It's great.
Yes,
But it's
yes.
taking off the pressure and in that regard. But yeah, if we're not healthy, our businesses are not healthy. And I think that it's definitely hand in hand. So
Taking that pressure off. Yes, taking that pressure. Taking that pressure off when it comes to sleep too. Like ladies, sleep as much as you need to. Like stop trying to get up early for everyone else. Taking the pressure off. Love that. Maybe that's the theme of this call is taking the pressure off. What
yeah.
decisions do you make differently because you prioritize your health? I mean, you mentioned already some. Is there anything else that stands out?
What decisions do I make differently because I'm doing that? I think it's it's every part of my day to day, honestly. Everything I do is because I can get quite tired easily if I'm not taking care, if I had a couple more margaritas than I should have had the night before, just enjoying time with friends, that, you suffer for that the next day. So I very try to keep that kind of stuff to a minimum, but yeah. Um, yeah.
Everything gets organized around you. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
So what does thriving in your 50s, 60s, and beyond look like for you?
Oh, Lord. I think being healthy and having good people around me that I love spending time with. Just a simple life. I would say I'm in a totally different season of my life than I ever was before. I thought I would be doing so many different things than I am today. And it's our desires change, right? As we experience different things through life. But I think just having a solid community around me and being healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you were to be remembered for one thing besides your business accomplishments, what would you hope that would be?
That I deeply care for people. Really just I carry the weight of other people's emotions very easily, and I just want people to enjoy life. Yeah.
Love that. Love that for you. What is something exciting that you're building right now that you'd love people to know about? Or is it simply growing healthy on the go?
It's growing healthy on the go in partnerships that we're developing a vending program now that healthy vending can be put into hospitals and universities and airports, and the terminals there. So that's a new project we're working on. It's a heavy lift, but we're hoping to get the first one placed soon. So that's a new one that we're really excited about and creating more opportunities for people to have access to healthier food on the go.
I love it. Again, healthy snacks. You can see Krista on Healthy on the Go in it's on gas stations, it's at airports. Now we're looking at hospitals and all
We
kinds
are
of
in
different things.
hospitals, yeah,
You're in
nationwide.
hospitals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is interesting, right? You need healthy snacks in hospitals, which don't have healthy food. But that's a whole story for another time.
It's crazy.
But we are lucky to have you with Healthy on the Go to provide opportunities for people to stay healthy on the go. I remember driving through gosh, it was like Kentucky, it was Tennessee. I remember Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We went for a vacation. I was like, I can't eat anything. I literally cannot eat anything. And it was so frustrating. And then we were driving through Kentucky and I was like, Jimmy John's was like the closest thing to something semi-normal that I could get. Otherwise, it was literally like I'm just gonna fast for like 2 days of driving because there's nothing, which is why we need healthy on the go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Krista, for being here today and sharing your wisdom. Ladies, you heard it. Take time for yourself, take care of your health, be healthy on the go or off the go. Meditate if you want with gardening, do things for yourself and find something that works for you. And if you would like to grab my 3-minute brain performance reset toolkit to stay sharp and energized all day, I will have that in the comments. If you want to connect with Krista, she will be tagged here and I'll have all her information in the comments. I know you're most active on LinkedIn, is that right?
Yeah, on Instagram. There's
LinkedIn and Instagram, that's
yeah.
where you can find Krista. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Lex.